All right, hi artists. This video is going to show you the first part of your color mixing challenge here. So I'm going to show you how to mix these rectangles you have at the top that are 4 inches long, 1 inch tall. You should have labeled an orange, a green, and a violet. So here we're going to be mixing each of the secondary colors. And in each square, we're going to be using the warm and the cool of the colors that are mixed. So for orange, we know that we use red and yellow to get orange. And within your paint kits, you have a cool red, that's our alizarin crimson. We have a warm red, your cadmium red. And then we have a cool yellow, cadmium yellow, and a warm yellow, primary yellow. So we're going to be using different combinations of the two to see what are all the different ways we can mix oranges. What does it look like if we mix a cool and a cool, or a warm and a warm, or a warm and a cool, or the other combination of warm and cool. So underneath where we see W and W, that's our warm and warm. Cool, C plus C is cool plus cool. WR plus CY is warm red and cool yellow, and then cool red and warm yellow. Okay, so I have my paint palette out. I'm going to start with the warm and the warm. So for orange, that's going to be cadmium red. And it's probably more paint than I need if I was just painting this. And warm yellow. So remember, for painting, we want to add our darker color to the lighter color so that it's not, our ratio is going to work. It would take me a lot of yellow to try and mix that to an actual orange. So I'm going to start with my yellow and add a little bit of red to that. It's best to add, amount slowly, because you can always add more, but it's harder to take it away. All right, and then I like to have my color wheel next to me so I can kind of gauge. I'll take a little bit of the paint. Does that look like it's an orange yet? Is it more yellow orange? Is it too red orange? That actually looks like it's about the right hue. So with my warm and warm then, dip my brush in some water, but we don't want it too wet. And then load my brush with some of this orange and we fill the square. Do your best to practice your craftsmanship here, staying within the square, getting neat, clean edges, because this is a great time to try and practice those skills and get more confident so that you're better for our next projects. So I'm usually when I'm doing straight edges, I like to use the flat brush here. So that's what I'm using. I'm going to add just a little bit more color to it, so that it doesn't look too transparent when it dries. And that should be good. So notice how much paint I still have in my palette. Clearly I added a little bit too much there. I should have probably just taken a little bit of the yellow and a little bit of the red and mixed it separately, since I'm just painting that little square. So learn from my mistakes, friends. Okay, rinse my brush out clean. We don't want any paint to stay on and mix into the next grouping or to dry on our brush. So now I'm doing the cool and cool. So our cool is the alizarin crimson for the red and cadmium yellow for the cool yellow. So I'm gonna learn from my mistake this past time and start with the yellow. You can mix it in the center, you can mix it in a new well. start with the yellow, wipe off my palette knife, and take just a little bit of this cadmium, or the alizarin crimson, and mix. I feel like I'll need a little bit more red. It's interesting how different that is. So if I take some, I do think that's about the right hue. Meaning I don't think it needs more red or more yellow. So load up on my brush, paint next. I'm gonna just add another layer there. Actually, laying it out, it looks very similar to the square next to it. Wonder how it will change when it dries. Okay, and then rinse my brush out, dry it off. Now we have our warm red and cool yellow. So I'm gonna use my cadmium red that I've took out from before, and the cool yellow, the cadmium yellow. Warm, oh, I wanna start with my yellow. So start with my cool yellow, and then add some of the warm red to it, slowly. I might have added too much red there. Definitely added too much red there. I'm going to take just a little bit of this, separate it, and add some yellow to it. Because now if I try to add yellow to this, I'm gonna mix more than I probably would want. And if this is too light, I can take a little bit from that first mixture. If I compare this to my sheet, it's a little bit on the yellow-orange side, so I'm gonna add a little bit more of the heavy red mixture to it. That looks about right. You want to make sure that your brush isn't too wet because that's going to thin your paint out, make it look a little bit more transparent. It's going to be a little bit harder to control as well. I feel like this time I didn't dry my brush quite enough. All right, in our last square, we have cool red, so the alizarin crimson, and warm yellow. So I didn't keep my primary yellow from before, so I'm gonna add a bit more. Cool red. So let's start with the primary yellow. And add a little bit of the crimson. add just a tiny bit more. I think that might be my favorite orange of them all. There you have it. So now as I'm planning for my green and the violet, I don't have to wash my whole palette because I'm keeping these colors clean, except for that one. I'll be using the yellows again for my greens. I'll be using the reds again for my violets. I'll just have to add blue. So as long as I still have space for mixing the combinations, I should be okay. So you'll follow the similar process for the green and the violet. Let me know if you have any questions, and just make sure to look at your notes to be clear on what's the cool blue, what's the warm blue. All right.